Are we living in a simulation? This is an idea that has been put forward or given a lot of attention to recently by some quite famous scientists and people including Elon Musk. But while it is an intriguing idea, have you wondered what does it even mean to live in a simulation, and what is it that is making these people think that this might be the case?
To start, simulations are generally computer programs that are coded with preset conditions and boundaries, and they run for a set of amount of time. Within the simulation, there are some things called variables that can take different values during that time, i.e., their state can change with time. This can happen independently to anything else or dependent on the state of other variables that are related to each other. All these relationships are explained by equations that define the behavior of the entire simulation, that is, how the variables behave and how they affect each other. The simulation setting may allow flexibility or freedom for those values to a certain degree, including randomness sometimes. So overall, what you may get is a trend or a changing picture or a journey, so to speak, of those variables individually or collectively over the lifetime of the simulation.
So, when we think of us as living in a simulation, it may mean that our character is a variable in that simulation and someone has created that simulation, which would be the universe and the earth, with some set conditions and boundaries. What those conditions and boundaries may be, well, may be things like the size of the earth or how much it rains when and where your character is born and how rich you may be from birth or how does your body grow and so on. So basically factors that no human controls him or herself but is affected by them directly or indirectly. Of course, your character may have some freedom if this simulation allows some free thought, leading to some actions based on your own decisions, which collectively, when all characters and their actions affect each other, define the overall situation in the simulation at any given time. That is, our world at any given time. And it may also be that while there is this freedom of individual character to some extent, there may also be some boundaries or limiting factors that prevent that character from doing or achieving things beyond a certain limit set for that character. Why? May be, so that the overall simulation, i.e., the world, remains on a certain predecided path.
All of this sounding familiar to our lives and experiences? Well, this is how many of us feel about our lives, don't we? We live on Earth, we know it is beautiful, it is running with so many complex systems enabling life on Earth like rain, evaporation, temperatures, wind, cooling, growth of plants, trees, crops, food, birth and death of animals and humans, etc., etc. We don't control any of these. They have always been there for us. And we also don't control our birth, our circumstances we are born into that affect our lives tremendously, at least in the initially phases of our lives. And while we have thoughts and we take actions and may work hard, sometimes no matter how hard we try, something happens that just prevents us from achieving our goals. Like for example, how many people's lives and plans got totally derailed when COVID happened out of nowhere and the world came to a halt? Or any economic event, for that matter, that affects your life. Or a natural disaster like an earthquake or a tsunami or a hurricane that just turns your life upside down all of a sudden? Or just what is called plain luck. Like when applying for a job or just happening to meet the right person at the right time.
So these are some of the things that make us feel that something more is going on in the background. Someone affecting and running our lives. Someone created and started it all. Someone wrote a script or code of our lives, set the boundaries at individual, societal, global levels and controls and runs the things in a predestined manner. And people are now calling it that it is like living in a simulation because all the scientists and engineers who came up with this concept actually work with simulations on a day-to-day basis and saw similarities to that.
Now here is the thing that might surprise you. Throughout human history, we have always felt like this. We are just now using an analogy from computers because that's what we now feel more familiar with, but these ideas have always been there. They were just called God, fate, and destiny. God, the creator who brought the universe and the earth into existence, put all the systems in place to make it habitable and sustain life, gave us birth, decided things like our country, family, physical attributes, and so on. He enabled us to learn and think and take actions with a will of our own with which we do make certain achievements. But we all feel like we have to work with what life has given us and whatever life sends our way, good or bad.
So, why use these new technical terms to define essentially the same old experiences and feelings? Why not just talk about God and fate? Well, the thing is, with God comes religion. And that is what becomes a point of contention between us humans. Which religion? Which God? How many? And so on. Plus, even if we were to agree on that, then comes the question of following that religion and the instructions of God in that religion to us humans, kind of like an operational manual to keep the simulation from hanging up, that is, to prevent lives and societies from crashing. But a lot of people don't want to follow any instructions or law. They want to do whatever they feel like, especially people who like to enjoy power. This is why in modern times a very hard effort has been made by some to get rid of the notion of God and religion by denying the existence of God himself. The very purpose of denying the existence of God is to get rid of the whole notion of religious law and moral and societal principles that come with any religion and its books and scripture. Because now if you get rid of the concept of God, then you can basically have laws made by parliamentarians, congressmen, senators. That is, politicians as they seem fit by themselves. They can actually just say a few things to people that appeal to them to get elected. Once they get elected, they can take the money from the lobbyists of big corporations and they can make the laws as they please and run the society as they like.
But you can't deny the existence of God because the evidence of it is everywhere. You don't have to be a scientist to feel it. You feel it in your everyday life. Inside your body and mind, in your dreams, in the happenings of the world around you. People have always felt it. It is actually an innate part of us to recognize it. Even the best scientists of human history, like Newton and Einstein, felt and recognized it. We did a whole video about their opinions. People may have confusions, doubts, questions, depending on the religion they are born into is the right one or wrong, or if the ideas and concepts that reached them were corrupted or taught by preachers and scholars who were not so good at their job explaining, or maybe even had it wrong themselves. Or it may be that maybe you are going through tremendously difficult things in life and don't have anyone to provide you with a satisfactory answer. But all that doesn't change the reality, does it? Even if we are tired, frustrated, or angry because of all the bad things happening around us and in our lives, we can't run away from it. We just have to find the right way to it.
It is even difficult for the scientists to define and explain our lives and the creation and working of the universe without someone having created, designed, and running it. That is why scientists are now talking about concepts like these. They are willing to talk about that we might be living in a simulation or that we may have been created by aliens but not God. They avoid the word God because the difference between these words and God is that here you don't have to deny all the evidence out there about there been a creator, which is getting more and more difficult to deny. Instead of using the word God, they use the word alien because in that sense religion doesn't come into play. Because the alien is just someone who made us for fun and left us to be on this planet and forgot about it or doesn't care what we do with our lives. Or it is someone controlling us through a simulation for his entertainment and we are locked in and just have to worry about living through the simulation, but we don't have to think about any of the religious laws or way of life coming from a divine scripture or book. Morality's been God sent and so on. But if you can feel and even observe something so hard and clear, do you really want to ignore it? Do you really want to ignore the creator of the simulation, especially if he did send or give us an instructional manual, and if don't follow it? Not only our lives suffer in this simulation, but at the end of this simulation, there might be a next one, and those who don't follow the commands set here, get sent to the trash bin and others get to lives a much better next level simulation.
Think about it. Say for example, dreams. Especially the ones about the future. Lots of people get dreams that are related to events that turn out the same way at a later point in time in the future. No, they are not all abstract and open to interpretation. Many times they are pretty close to watching a video recording, except instead of a past event, something from the future. How does it even happen if there isn't someone who already knows about the future and knows how the so-called simulation can or will play out? Who is that someone and why is he showing us something from the future? That's pretty invaluable information. People would literally spend billions or more and even kill to build a machine that can tell the future. And yet, someone is just telling us something from the future just like that. Why? Maybe, while we are being ignorant about him, he is not ignorant of us. He warns us sometimes perhaps to correct our actions, or things may play out badly for us. Sometimes it's a warning that you can't do anything about, but at least can brace yourself so that you are mentally more prepared. Sometimes it is to calm us down that it may seem bad now, but things will eventually turn out to be better. This someone seems pretty generous to be taking care of us in very individualistic and personal ways, not even holding back on precious information like that.
So, do we really think he may have put us on earth and given us this life but in a I don't care mode with no general guidance? Not even some information, at least an introduction of himself. Seems pretty ignorant to think that way in the light of what we just discussed, right? Definitely at least worth investigating. So how to find out who is God and what religion or book or approach would help us identify and recognize him? Watch our next videos in which we discuss just that. Do subscribe and hit the bell icon so that you know when we post those videos. Take great care. May the Creator, Designer, and Runner of all things make things clear for all those who are actually interested in knowing about him and, most importantly, valuing him the way he should be valued.